what's the saying, or the saying that I made up? Always follow the script. But when things get annoying, you tend to burst out, apparently. Like, you're supposed to say your lines, do what you're supposed to do, but something annoys you, and then it builds up your anger to where you just can't hate it anymore. Yeah. You mean Resident Evil 3 is not gonna have any DLC? I apologize for that. Let's just start. Top 10, 20 angry outbursts caught on live TV. Hopefully it'll be a lot of funny moments.
We all lose our temper sometimes. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 angry outbursts caught on live TV. For this list, we're looking at times people lost their cool on live television. This means that Bill O'Reilly's infamous We'll Do It Live meltdown will not be included, as it obviously did not air live.
We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Number 20, frankly just bullshit. In late February 2020, convicted Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich appeared on CNN to talk with Anderson Cooper. Blagojevich was serving 14 years in prison for soliciting bribes, a sentence later commuted by President Donald Trump on February...
Is Fox News fixed news, or is any bullshit news fixed news? Who gives a fuck?
18th, 2020. Blagojevich is playing up his prison time, referring to himself as a political prisoner and comparing himself to Nelson Mandela.
Today, and that is the shocking fact.
I just got to stop you. I'm sorry. As someone who's worked in South Africa and saw apartheid, the idea that you are comparing yourself to somebody who has actually been railroaded by an apartheid system is just nuts.
Cooper rightfully calls this comparison offensive, but that's not all. As the interview goes on, Cooper grows increasingly resentful and impatient with Blagojevich's statements, and he eventually refers to his alternate universe of facts as bullshit.
You do have an obligation to at least admit what you did wrong, and you refuse to do that, and you're creating a whole new alternate universe of facts, and that may be big in politics today, but it's still, frankly, just bullshit.
This isn't the first time that Cooper has spoken his mind. Back on Anderson Live, he called the so-called human Barbie a dreadful person and cut the interview short.
I try to be really polite to all my guests. I just think you're dreadful, and I honestly don't want to talk to you anymore, so I'm just going to stop.
Wow!
Number 19, Dan Marino's freakout. In the 2000s, former Miami Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino co-hosted weekly football talk show Inside the NFL. When talking about golfing with Terrell Buckley, he had a wild freakout that came completely without warning.
Playing golf, he told me that defense is
After stumbling over his words, Marino slammed his fists into the table, startling those around him. Marino even seems to have caught production off guard with his little tantrum, judging by the camera's rapid movements, zoom-ins and zoom-outs. Hey, we all word up our messes sometimes. Mess up our words. Jesus. Number 18. Danny Dyer on David Cameron. English actor Danny Dyer is often typecast as the tough guy in movies and TV shows. Now we know why.
So what's happened to that David Cameron who called it on? Let's be fair.
I think you're referring to our former Prime Minister.
While appearing on Good Evening Britain, Dyer began passionately discussing prior UK Prime Minister David Cameron and the issues surrounding Brexit.
Where is the geezer? I think he should be held accountable for it. He should be held accountable for it.
His rant included several profanities and various colorful names for David Cameron, like geezer and twat. His passionate comments garnered some chuckles, while the opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn managed to keep a straight face. When he was done, he sat back in his chair, crossed his arms, and shook his head in disappointment. So he's not a fan of David Cameron then? Number 17. Weatherman's cold response. We all get a case of the winter blues sooner or later. It affects some people worse than others, even the meteorologists.
Predicting the weather accurately is a multi-billion-dollar industry that can affect businesses and literally save lives. So there is a lot of pressure on weather forecasters, which might explain why they sometimes snap.
In 2018, a Grand Rapids, Michigan meteorologist named Gary Frank let loose on one particularly cold day, venting not as much about the cold weather, but the reactions and expectations of his coworkers for constantly complaining about it.
Well, because you guys are dragging me down. You guys keep... Well, every time I get done with the 7-day, you guys are like, oh, gosh, oh. Every time.
His sarcastic rant includes mimicking his coworkers' disappointed sighs and suggesting maybe he should just misrepresent the weather to be warmer to make everyone happy. It's actually refreshing to see such human moments like this on the news.
Doesn't matter what time I come on. 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and then you expect me to be chipper for 5 straight hours. It's miserable.
Number 16. Sam the cooking guy calls for silence.
Not everybody wants to pretend. They just want to remain true as they are. The fact that the weather forecast is forcing people to be as chipper as possible, yeah, that is just miserable. Seriously, they need to change things up a bit.
Hey, many of us get flustered and frustrated while cooking. Fortunately, our freakouts are not caught on live television.
So we're making a tuna?
We're
making a tuna?
Tuna's the second thing we have in our house.
Can I talk?
While appearing on Today with Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda Kotb, Sam the cooking guy grew tired of the host's constant interjections and firmly told them to pipe down.
Pay attention 1 minute.
Sam realized his mistake when his outburst was met with a painfully awkward silence, and he tried alleviating the awkwardness with some smiles and jokes.
I was lying about your eyebrows. I think they're shabby.
Right. Okay, onion, I don't even know what I got. Cucumber.
Unfortunately, that was an error he simply could not fix, and the rest of the segment proceeded rather coldly, with Gifford seeming particularly defensive.
We take some feta cheese. I love to buy the block feta cheese. I can hear the crew back there going, this guy, it's his last day here for sure.
They've been around a long time because they don't talk to us like that.
Can I point?
Nope.
I can't help but think about the scenario I came up with in my head where an OC of mine is talking, but he gets constantly interrupted, like 7 to 8 times. And first time it was like, I'm talking, but at the end he's like, I'm talking. And at the very end, he goes as far as, hey, wait a minute, where's my gun? The 6th time, I'm talking! The 7th and final time. Oh. Mihai kicks out conspiracy theories. Oh my god, with the conspiracy theorists. You know, conspiracy theorists and whatnot just can ruin people.
Out conspiracy theorists. Live audiences are typically well behaved, but sometimes you get the clown who just wants to make noise.
We'd be able to attack this very bad disease that's attacking us.
What?
While Bill Maher was talking with U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, conspiracy theorists started loudly yelling from the audience.
Boy, sometimes here at CBS, I wish the sound wasn't working.
At first, Lee and Maher simply looked at them in amusement and cracked some jokes at their behalf. But then they kept going. This prompted Maher to stand up, colorfully inquire about the security, and personally run over to the conspiracy theorists to kick them out himself. This was met with loud cheers from the studio audience, so we think they were just as fed up with the troublemakers.
I'll kick your ass out of here, too. Get her the out. What's going on here?
Number 14. Anchor Untethered. Back in 2009, Drew Smith, a news anchor for SNN News 6 in Sarasota, Florida, had very little patience for poorly worded transcripts. After struggling to get through his story, Smith sighs in frustration and hangs his head in shame.
In her will, Smith also intentionally omitted to provide for her spouse and other heirs, including future spouses and children and other descendants. They will...
After a brief pause, Smith brandishes his copy of the script and asks,
"Who writes this stuff?"
And asks either the crew or the viewers at home if they are as confused as he is.
Are you guys lost like I am?
Before continuing on, Smith seemingly answers his earlier question by stating, quote, "Some intern at NBC News Channel writes this crap." But we get it. Poorly worded news is confusing for everyone, and quality control is important.
Some intern at NBC News Channel writes this crap.
Number 13.
Wow.
Alexi Lawless speaks his mind. Sports commentators aren't one to mince words. If a performance sucks, they're going to tell you about it. And Alexi Lawless, a former soccer star and pundit for Fox Sports, certainly told us about it.
It's dark days indeed, but this is a time for leaders to step up. And so to the supposed leaders, I will say this. All right.
While covering a match between the Seattle Sounders and LA Galaxy, Lawless unleashes a barrage of insults against the national United States soccer team. He singles out specific people, including Tim Howard, Jeff Cameron, and Clint Dempsey, and says that those that he didn't single out, quote, don't even warrant a mention.
Tim Howard. Tim, the Belgium game ended 3 years ago. We need you to save the ball now. Jeff Cameron. Clean it up, or let's get someone who will. Clint Dempsey, yeah, you're a national team legend. Now we need you to be a national team leader.
And that's before calling them all, quote, soft, underperforming tattooed millionaires. We don't know if this is tough love or just straight up mean.
You're going to continue to be a bunch of soft, underperforming tattooed millionaires? You are a soccer generation that has been given everything. You are a soccer generation who is on the verge of squandering everything.
Number 12, let me talk, Carol. If this list proves anything, it's that meteorologists are hanging on by a thread. This outburst concerns Chad Myers, the severe weather expert for CNN.
Okay, that is lower pressure, but Camille... let me talk, Carol.
Translate that for us. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, if you would let me talk...
While discussing Hurricane Katrina, anchor Carol Costello interrupts Myers by saying his name over and over, wanting him to explain the terminology he's using. Understandably frustrated, Myers proceeds to yell and throw his papers on the ground. Costello and Myers both laugh the incident off, and Myers states that he was just having fun with Costello. It seems clear that they do this simply to diffuse the palpable tension, because Myers was obviously not having fun. He is stressed the heck out.
All right.
Carol.
Thank you, Chad.
All right. Just having fun with you this morning.
I know.
Right.
It's a stressful time, I know.
Number 11. Andrew Dice Clay fights back.
It's a fucking hurricane. Of course things are gonna be stressed.
Live TV and comedians rarely make for a safe combination, especially comedians known for their provocative humor.
It's ridiculous. I come on CNN, and the guy don't even know what he's talking about. Go ahead.
When Andrew Dice Clay appeared on CNN, the anchor opened that Clay was a headline guy and asked him what it was like running a gym.
You were a headline guy.
I'm still a headline guy. You know what I mean?
For a while you popped out, now you're coming back. For a while you were actually you were running a gym. Tell us about that.
Running a gym?
Weren't you running a gym at some point?
You're supposed to be a news guy.
The comments greatly upset Clay, who stated that he is still a headline guy and never ran a gym. Following that, Clay launched into a tirade that involved numerous F-bombs and the very loud and very verbal disapproval of the production.
You know what? Go yourself. You know what?
All right.
The whole network.
We'll go back to talking about Art Carney.
Our personal favorite bit has to be the anchor trying to segue into the next segment while Clay yells and swears off camera. Number 10. Weatherman flips out. This one was a question of priorities.
We have viewers complaining already. Just go back to the show. No, we're not going back to the show, folks. This is a dangerous situation.
In Dayton, Ohio, a local broadcast of The Bachelorette was interrupted by an emergency weather statement regarding an impending tornado. Midway through the broadcast, weatherman Jamie Simpson checked social media and saw viewers were complaining about the interruption.
I'm sick and tired of people complaining about this. Our job here is to keep people safe, and that is what we're going to do.
This sent Simpson over the edge. He yelled at the viewers at home, went on a minute-long tirade, and called their reaction pathetic.
Stop. Okay, just stop right now. It's not. I'm done with you people. I really am. This is pathetic.
Viewers were not happy, and Simpson wasn't happy that they weren't happy. Basically, no one was happy.
He's got a point. They are there to warn people, and there is a bunch of crybabies being like, stop interrupting the TV show and whatnot. Guys, there's a tornado potentially coming your way. Keep an eye on the news. You never know if it'll save your life or not. Seriously, there's a fucking tornado. Do you want to die? I mean, sheesh, it's like a bunch of crybabies getting pet peeved and pissed off over getting pinged at Discord. I'm on his side. Burning with frustration. Oh, this is gonna be good.
Burning with frustration. This is a hot one. Okay, not literally, but there is fire involved. Mika Brzezinski is the co-host of MSNBC's Morning Joe, a weekday morning political talk show. Back in 2007, Brzezinski grew frustrated with the constant coverage of Paris Hilton.
Hold on a second. I'm going to make a point. Lord. We're not covering this, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Easy.
Done with the Paris Hilton story.
She attempts to set her news documents on fire, saying, quote, "I'm done with the Paris Hilton story." When her co-anchor takes the lighter away, Brzezinski gets up and throws the papers into a nearby paper shredder.
This is my Paris Hilton story.
What a statement. That is a statement about the state of journalism in our country.
You have changed the world, Mika Brzezinski. How can you give us...
At least my world.
When reflecting on the moment for a 10-year anniversary special, co-anchor Willie Geist called it, quote, a symbolic moment for the show, in that Brzezinski was refusing to air and discuss such trivial matters of celebrity.
This is the way things have sort of been done. These are the things you've seen talked about in the morning. Yeah. They're literally going into a shredder and we're starting something new.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mika, Mika got called to the front office and they were going to yell at her.
No, I did get yelled at.
Number 8, Charlotte Green quits on air. This rant by Alaska's KTVA anchor Charlotte Green went viral.
Now, everything you heard is why I, the actual owner of the Alaska Cannabis Club, will be dedicating all of my energy toward fighting for freedom and fairness, which begins with legalizing marijuana here in Alaska.
After reporting on the Alaska Cannabis Club, Green shockingly revealed that she was the owner of the Cannabis Club and quit on live TV.
And as for this job, well, not that I have a choice, but it, I quit.
Her resignation involved a lengthy speech, a well-timed F-bomb, and a dramatic walk-off camera. This left the other KTVA anchor stunned and literally speechless as she tried to recover from Green's colorful on-air resignation.
We'll be right back. Pardon for us.
The clip subsequently went viral, and Green found herself a bit of a champion within the marijuana industry. Unfortunately, her club was raided by police in 2016, and Green was slapped with a felony conviction and a $10,000 fine. Number 7, Ben Affleck gets worked up. Back in October 2014, Ben Affleck appeared on the talk show Real Time with Bill Maher alongside author and podcast host Sam Harris. And it didn't take long for the fireworks to really get going. The discussion veers towards the subjects of radical Islam and Islamophobia, and battle lines are quickly drawn.
You're saying that Islamophobia is not a real thing. That if you're critical of something...
Well, it's not a real thing when we do it.
Right.
Well, no, it really isn't.
I'm not denying that certain people are bigoted against Muslims as people. And that's a problem.
Big of you.
But
why are you so hostile about this?
It's gross. It's racist.
Maher claims that Islam is the only religion that acts like the mafia, and Harris says that
Islam at this moment is the motherlode of bad ideas.
The Oscar winner then goes off on the two men, calling their assertions gross, racist, and ugly things to say. All this while sitting back in his chair in frustration and muttering "Jesus Christ" under his breath. So suffice it to say, he didn't agree with their opinions.
You criticize the people who are doing it, not the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Well, what if the people...
As a Filipino kid lives down the street from you, it have nothing to do with that.
Number 6, Sue Simmons drops an F-bomb. There's something really funny about an otherwise professional news anchor breaking character and yelling out an F-bomb.
At 11, paying more at the grocer, but getting less. We'll tell you how to get the most. The f*** are you doing?
After reading through the news teaser for WNBC, Simmons could loudly be heard cursing off camera as the footage was rolling. Simmons was reportedly yelling at her co-anchor, Chuck Scarborough, who was distracted by his computer. Unfortunately, Simmons didn't realize that the segment was live.
I'm truly sorry. It was a mistake on my part, and I sincerely apologize.
She later apologized to the viewers for her outburst, but really, more people were probably amused than offended. Seeing that boat drift in silence following her F-bomb is just comedic gold. Number 5.
Okay, before we move on to number 5, can I see it again?
The f are you doing? We're at the grocer, but getting less. We'll tell you how to get the most. The f are you doing?
Oh, man. The fuck are you doing?
Is just comedic gold. Number 5. R. Kelly versus Gayle King. Even though this interview wasn't aired live, it was presented exactly as filmed. R. Kelly has long been the subject of numerous sexual assault allegations.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
In March 2019, Kelly appeared on CBS This Morning with Gayle King to discuss the allegations and the recent documentary, Surviving R. Kelly. Kelly grew increasingly emotional and frustrated as the interview progressed, culminating in him screaming right into the camera.
This is not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it.
He then stood up and continued to shout, pounding on his chest. It didn't end there. As his tirade continued for almost another minute. Number 4, walking away from Bill O'Reilly.
Please welcome Bill O'Reilly.
And here we have another disagreement arising over religion and extremism. Back in 2010, political commentator Bill O'Reilly appeared on The View to promote his book Pinheads and Patriots, Where You Stand in the Age of Obama. The discussion turns towards an Islamic community center called Park 51, then scheduled to be built near Ground Zero.
And let me break this to you. 70% of Americans don't want that mosque down there, so don't give me the wee bit.
O'Reilly claims without proof that 70% of Americans don't want that. Whoopi yells, "Oh my God," shoots back in her seat and swears at O'Reilly before she and Joy Behar storm off the set. This is anything but scripted, just a real impassioned reaction. Number 3, Jim Ryan versus Dick Oliver. This legendary argument took place on July 19th, 2001. Good Day New York anchorman Jim Ryan is watching a report from Dick Oliver on a landlord-tenant dispute. It's pretty normal everyday stuff, until it isn't.
All right, it's back to you, Jim.
Ollie, don't let her go away. That's what, does she have a response to that? Is she still there?
What's that?
Did the lady just leave?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
After Oliver lets his tenant interviewee leave, Ryan chastises him for the quality of his reporting. This results in a bitter and very awkward back and forth on live television, and you can see the tenant cringing and suppressing a laugh in the background.
I'll give you lessons on how to become a reporter later.
Well, I'll give you some lessons on how to be an editor because I was your boss once.
Yeah, you were and are no longer. How did that happen?
This incident would become so infamous that it inspired Bill Hader's Herb Welch character on Saturday Night Live, with Hader portraying an elderly reporter as combative as he is incompetent.
Please just ask the question.
Who started this thing?
Well, a couple of us actually started.
Spill the beans.
Number 2, Kanye on Bush. Back in 2005, no one knew that rapper extraordinaire Kanye West would become one of the most...
Wait a minute. I think I recognize this particular clip. Angry Joe used a little bit of the clip in his Grand Theft Auto 5 review.
Controversial and outspoken artists of the 21st century. That is, until a concert for hurricane relief.
I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. If you see a white family, it says they're looking for food.
This was a live benefit concert that was meant to raise money and awareness for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. West was paired with comedian Mike Myers and went off script, and Myers could only stare at him in confusion and nervousness. He knew something was coming, and something indeed came.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
West's comment is now legendary, as is Myers' reaction and the hilarious cutaway to Chris Tucker. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You'll have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Mike Tyson blows his stack. Back in 1992, Mike Tyson was sentenced to 6 years in prison for the rape of 18-year-old Desiree Washington. This topic was brought up years later in 2014 when Tyson was visiting Toronto's CP24 news channel on a promotional tour after meeting with the city's then mayor Rob Ford.
And the mayor, and this is the first time probably in the history of Toronto where the mayor is bigger than the whole city. You know, he's the biggest celebrity than everybody in the city. Everybody wants to see the mayor. And he's a really dynamic character.
News anchor Nathan Downer broaches the idea that the mayoral meeting could possibly have interfered with Ford's election race, as Tyson is a convicted rapist.
I don't have no comment to that, you know, because it's negative, and you're being negative. And I met the mayor, and nothing they can do about it.
And Tyson is not happy. He initially responds in a seemingly controlled manner before utterly and profanely losing his composure multiple times, eventually calling Downer,
"It's more nerve-wracking for me to hear us talking to a rat piece of shit like you." Come on, like.
Downer reminds Tyson that they were on live TV, but he doesn't seem to care, like, at all.
We're gonna wrap up this interview. Thank you for coming in.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this.
That number 1 is a shitty pick. I was expecting like one of the biggest outbursts of anger ever. Like, it's over the top. But this is just subdued, and there's not really that much to go with from the looks of it. That's a pretty shitty choice. Anyways, if you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. And I hope you have a good day or night, and take care.